the risk of sounding too simplistic, I think tenderness and heart is not about what's around you. I think it's a matter of a bona fide and genuine relationship with the Lord. I think when we stay close to the Lord, then he reminds us that we are a piece of work and we are not where we need to be. And our God has tremendous mercy and compassion and patience with us. Too often as a young pastor, I took things personally and competitively.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, that was just carnality.
Well, good morning, Castleview Baptist Church. Great to have you back again. You can tell we're in a little bit of a different place. Matter of fact, this is an incredible, Pastor, this is an incredible office. I love this space. I know Kurt was trying to take credit a few minutes ago for the design. Kurt, did you design this office?
You know, I did.
Did you really?
I did.
You did?
I did. Nobody knows that, but I did.
But you were the architect. Yeah, you were the architect. Just about everything so far that he's done well.
I've taken credit.
You've
for
actually taken, yeah,
right.
in the 5 minutes that we've been together this morning, Kurt has taken credit for every single thing that's happened here.
He's my friend.
He's your. Is that what you call that in Australia?
Yeah,
someone that steals all your glory, a friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, we got different words for that in U.S.
Do you?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
In all seriousness, though, it would be great if somehow our viewers could see the entire office. It really is beautiful.
It is beautiful. He's got a bat cave back here.
He does.
You know, I've never been in a pastor's office. There's I don't know if this is even public knowledge. There's a secret door.
There he is.
Do people know this, or am I
everybody.
actually not everybody? We should probably edit this out. I mean, you've got all the hidden stuff back there, but really amazing place. We are in Sydney, Australia, and Pastor Kurt, thank you for reaching out to me and giving me a chance to come. Pastor, thank you for the invitation to come out. It has been for Debbie and myself already, and you told me this on the phone that this church was. You said, Tate, they will take care of you. You will love the people. It has surpassed every expectation.
Good.
And I will tell you this, Pastor, my wife has wanted to come to Australia since she was like a 4 or 5 year old little girl. And she's always wanted to pet koalas and be able to see kangaroos and all of that. And we went the other day, and you saw how much she loved it. Yeah, she was emotional.
She was very emotional. She went back into the enclosure one more time before we left, and she came out all teary. It was like, what was going on?
I know what she's always. I mean, it's a bucket list item. And as much as we've been looking forward to coming here, you were right. It has exceeded every single expectation. Kurt, what is it about this place that you said this is one of your favorite cities?
It is.
What is it about it?
Yeah, I would just say to everybody, come to Sydney, Australia. It's a lovely city. I mean, you'll love all the iconic spots, the Opera House, the Harbor Bridge, the harbors, all of that. But you know, at the end of the day, once you visited a place and all the allure of the architecture and the scenery, when that all dies off, what remains is the love, the friendship, the fellowship with people. And honestly, and I said this, man, to Tate, I said, you'll go to TNS and you will say, when it's all said and done, that was my favorite meeting. And we've not even experienced the meeting yet.
Haven't.
And you're already feeling
love
this way.
Yeah.
God's touch is at this time and place on this place. And it's an amazing thing to see.
It is. I want to ask about that for just a moment, because what Kurt's talking about right now is there is a unique culture here. The moment that I walked in and we were at church on Sunday here, there's something different about Faith Baptist here in Australia. There's a spirit of love. Servanthood is here for sure. You do things with excellence. Have you built that? That's a big question, you know, and I know that's a lot maybe to unpack, but what are we have some pastors that listen to this. What are some of the ways that you have shaped a culture to love preaching, to love people, to love serving, love the Lord? Just all the things that you've done here, how'd you do it?
Well, some things are culturally inherent. You know, we started off as a Arabic church, and Arabic people have hospitality, and, you know, that's part of their DNA. So that we started off with something good, but then we had to shape it in a way where we are more reaching new people that are coming in, because you could get very cliquey with just the people that you know. So we've worked really hard trying to teach our people to embrace those who are coming in, the first-time visitors, show hospitality, take care of them, and we try to remember their names. And some of them are just blown away when they come back the second time that, we know them by name.
Yeah.
And that really impresses them. And they say, if you can
Yes.
remember my name, I'm coming back here again.
Yes.
So we've done a few things that way. It took a bit of training and developing leaders in order to manage all those processes. But we're thankful. God's been good to us. He's led us. He's given us, I guess, some wisdom there in that area, and that's helped us.
Yeah. How do you? I'd love for you both to answer this. How do you lead a ministry with excellence? Because that's one thing I see here. I see it in you and your preaching in your church. That there's a level of excellence there, and conviction. This is what we do. But at the same time, have a level of compassion that we're not running over people. You know what I mean by that? I mean, sometimes you'll see a ministry that, the people are for the ministry, and sometimes the ministry is for the people. And it's a challenging, you have high expectations, but you love people through it.
Yeah.
Does that question make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How would you answer that? How do you balance those two tensions when you're working with people in a church?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would agree with all of what you said about faith, that they do have that great, healthy balance of relational equity and a process that's organized and excellent. And so they can be done. They're not mutually exclusive terms. Sometimes people say, well, we're just a relational church. That's why everything's sloppy.
Yeah.
No, that's not, that doesn't follow. And I've been in churches that are really well run, but they feel cold and calloused.
Yes.
So they can go together. I'm probably not the best person to ask about that, because I'm not the good process person at our church at Faith. We have people that are much better at that than I.
So you have staffed your weaknesses, or here's my strengths. Let me get some people in here that can do it.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you, the guy that helped me the most with that was this guy right here.
Is that right?
So he and I had a really strategic conversation about 10 years ago when I first went to Faith in Fredericksburg. And he encouraged me at that time. He said, Kurt, listen, don't go into this church with the attitude that you need to fix everything and do everything, because that's a recipe for disaster, and that really is insanity. And you'll reach the edge of your margin and burn out way too quickly. So to me, the best definition of delegation is give away all the things that anybody else can do. And that sounds really, really radical at first. Give away everything that anybody else can do. Yeah, because when you do that, then you are left with only the things that you can do. And when you have the things that only you can do, and you can invest some margin in those things, then that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So for me at Faith, the things that I did the majority of teaching and preaching. I was able to invest in our leaders and be the curator of God's vision.
Sure.
Love everything else was somebody else's.
Yeah, great answer. Pastor Youssef, you're a master at that. I see that in the 5 days we've been here. You are really good at delegation, administration. What are the things that you feel like you do as the pastor that you've got to? You can't be the one that's carrying tables and chairs. You're not above it, but you would do whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
But what are the things that you see as the pastor that you need to be directly responsible for? You can't delegate this.
Yeah. Well, the vision, making sure I have a vision from the Lord and being led by the Spirit to lead in teaching, preaching, and whatever is needed in the church at that time to address those issues. Be a problem solver to some extent. So I only deal with the serious matters. I don't get involved in everything. I've kind of spent a lot of time training to leadership in men and our staff to be able to take care of different areas. So that delegation process, I guess I learned that as a young man working for a big accounting firm, when your charge out rate is horrendous, you can't be doing everything. So you're always delegating down to somebody else who had a cheaper rate in order for you to accomplish the, the financials for. So I learned that as a young man, and then bringing that through the business world, you only succeed by training others and by, that's how you get leverage, and you can't be doing everything yourself because then you become the bottleneck. And that's what happens in many ministries, especially where you started the work and you're used to making all the decisions and call everything out, and you think you need to deal with every matter, and you can do that to a certain extent, but then you become the cap, and you can't grow beyond that. And so the only way is to get leverage and to grow is to have other people who can make decisions, and they probably can make, and they do here. They make better decisions than what I can.
Sure.
And they're creative, and they know, and they're bringing their expertise.
Release them.
Correct. And that's what
which is a great point, and you do all those things well. So let me throw a question at you then, Tate. So you're pastoring Castle View. You started the church how many years ago?
18.
Yeah. So for people that go into existing ministries, the danger is don't take on things that you shouldn't take on. But for a man like you, whom God led to start that church, everything by virtue of starting was yours. So your challenge was not taking things on. Your challenge was strategically letting things go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So how have you done that? And if members of Castle View are listening right now, that this would be helpful, because sometimes church members feel like, well, pastor doesn't do that. I wish pastor would, not understanding that you necessarily have to be giving some of your job away every year.
Yeah, that's a great question. The short answer is, for a long time, I didn't do it well. I remember Bud Calvert. I don't know if you know Bud Calvert or not. He came through early on, and the church was growing somewhat. It's not where it is now, but it was growing somewhat. And I'll never forget him saying, that you should do only what only the pastor can do. You're doing too many things. And for me, early on, I'm a people pleaser. I think you might lean more relational like me in that way.
I'm the same way.
Okay. I think you're more business background. We didn't really talk about that, but you got a business background. So I think you probably release things easier than I naturally would. I had the feeling, I think I struggled with a couple things. One, I think it comes down to pride sometimes, that I loved being the guy that everyone says, what a hard worker, and boy, this guy does all this stuff, and I'm burying myself. But I needed it, right? It was hard for me to give things away because I loved being the guy that people depended on. And I think the insecurity of, as a people pleaser, well, if I don't like doing this job, nobody's going to like doing this job. And later I had to realize, wait a minute, there are people that would die if they had to get up and stand in front of a group of people and galvanize them, teach them, lead them, excite them. But they would love to do the things that I hate to do. I mean, they'd love to be behind a desk and filling things out and all of that. And you used the word just a minute ago, the bottleneck. I think John Maxwell calls it the law of the lid. I have discovered that in every plateau that our church has hit, the growth barriers, the biggest person that had to change was me. And to be able to trust people. And maybe the biggest thing, to answer your question, Kurt, for me to change has been, in the early days, we hoped that new people would come into the church that had already been discipled, that could take responsibilities, that kind of knew what they were doing. And I think now, the longer we've been there, the more I realize, okay, the best people that do the best job are people that we've won to Christ, people that have a heart for our ministry, and understand what our ministry is all about as well. And so my role has become more and more, especially over the last couple of years, stepping back, leading leaders. So I see my role you were talking about casting vision. I think that's a huge part of what I've got to do at Castle View, the preaching, teaching ministry that you talked about a moment ago, and then leading leaders, I think, is a massive part of that. I just started a 15-year vision plan here over the last couple of months, and basically it is, I don't know if I'll be done at 68 at Castle View, who knows, but I want to make sure that we leave it in a place, and we want to accomplish things on purpose, intentionally, and make sure that, okay, when we leave, what buildings do we pray will be built? What will we leave? What leaders will be led? And what will we have raised up in this place? So it's been a real struggle, I guess, to answer that question, just because it's easier to do something yourself. When you start a ministry, there's nobody there when you start the church. You're doing everything. You get a little insecure about handing things off. I don't know if I don't know if you ever feel that insecurity even later than that, but I did for a long time personally.
I think insecurity is the big one.
Yeah.
I would echo everything you just said. And I think there's probably some insecure leaders that are listening right now, and they needed to hear that because that people pleasing, that speaks to the core of it. I think another factor, though, with delegation, and Mansour, I'd love to hear what you say about this, is the reason sometimes we don't delegate is because although delegation solves a time problem eventually, it creates a time problem immediately.
Immediately, yeah.
So here's this
harder.
task or these tasks that need to be done. You know that you need to train others to help with that. And you will. I'm going to do that next week, next year, whatever. But for now,
I
it's just
can't do it
easier
today.
for me. Right.
Yeah.
And I would just encourage people that are in that place, there'll never be a good time.
Yeah.
So start that training delegatory process right now.
Right now. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and as you said, there are people who are looking, they want to be vested in the ministry. And the way you have them vested is by giving them something to do. And some of them have got skills that are far better than yours and mine. Like, as you can see with our conference preparation or even in that annual report that you're seeing, these are well-talented people that, bring excellence and can perform a task better than what I could have done it.
Yeah.
And you just need to release them and get them involved. And the more you have buy-in, then the ministry begins to grow based on their work and not just what you're doing.
Yes. That is a tightrope. I know early on, I felt like, because we founded the church, I felt like I needed to have, I don't know a better way to put it. I'll just put it the way that it really is, the credit for what would happen. Like even if somebody else was doing something, oh yeah, I was talking to them about that, or yeah, I kind of gave and the longer you're at it, the more you go, you know what, if they feel like they were, and by the way, many times they were the ones that spearheaded, they took it further than you could have taken it. Yeah. If they feel like they've got that authority to be able to go do something, you've got the most bought in people in the world. And we're thankful we've got people at our church that have just taken things. And I see it here. I walked in on Sunday and I walked into this office, Kurt, Sunday morning, and the staff is in here. They're saying hello. And the synergy that was here and I think you've got, by the way, this is true. And I know you would say this, if you don't let leaders lead, leaders will leave.
Correct.
Right. Leaders are going to, if you've got
you will
good people,
frustrate them.
You'll frustrate
them.
Yeah.
They want to be involved. They can help you, but if you keep it all to yourself, they're going to find another place where they can exercise their gifts and talents. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing as pastors, is helping church members to exercise their gifts for the body. And I see, I guess my role is to be a coach. Like encouraging you. Yes, get involved. Yes, you can do that, and you can do this well, and do that for the benefit of the ministry and for the cause of Christ.
Yeah.
And I think the more we are encouragers, the more leverage we get, the more we can reach.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you, I say two things to that. First of all, I totally agree with what you both said. I would say this: leaders, if they don't lead, they will leave. But leaving doesn't always mean physical leaving.
Yeah.
They'll leave, but they'll just shut up and stay in the church.
They'll be disengaged.
Okay. And the respect level they have for you will have gone down because you've not tested them. They don't need to be a fourth grade boys Sunday school teacher. They need to take their expertise and apply it to church work. And it's our job to figure out ways to do that. But here's the second thing I'll say, and this really challenged me. I was in a small group meeting not long ago in a conference in Florida, and Bob Dahl, who was a number 3 for BlackRock. So this guy is executive, par excellence. And he spoke to just a small group of pastors. And here's what he said. He said, guys, I want to tell you how to minister to people like me.
Mm.
And he started with,
That'd be
"You're
good.
intimidated by me."
Yeah,
He
that's
said,
good.
"But I'm intimidated by you."
Yeah.
He said, "Stop trying to train me to do something in the four walls of your church. You pastors are looking at everything you do, training people as what service team can they be on in the church."
Mhm.
He said, "That is so short-sighted." He said, That would not be a good use of my time.
Mm.
Train me how to be impactful in my business.
Mm.
Come to my office, sit in my boardroom,
Mhm.
be a fly on the wall in my staff meeting.
Mhm.
That's what I need you to do."
Mm.
He said, "Help me. I will be of far greater value to you and to the kingdom
Mm.
if you'll help me do those things."
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a
Yeah.
great statement.
That is powerful because I think that's the bottleneck sometimes as a pastor. You're looking at your people going, I know we've got an amazing people in this building, but you're looking at it through the lens of what can they do for me or our church right now, as opposed to how can I release them to do kingdom work wherever they are.
Right.
That's powerful.
Correct.
Is that recorded anywhere?
I probably can get that for
Yeah.
you.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
For a small price.
Do you have any more
Well,
thoughts
that's
about
something
that,
we
Pastor?
did here. I mean, obviously, I've come into the ministry with a business background,
Yeah.
and a lot of the families here in the church who have businesses have allowed me to come in and to help them, in their enterprises. And basically, I mean, we don't charge a fee or anything, but I would always say, listen, if I help you to do better in your business, then I just want you to promise the Lord with whatever gain you are given,
Yeah.
then you give that to the Lord's work.
Yeah.
And give it to missions.
Yeah.
And that's how we've been able to give, to the Lord's work in missions. Last year we gave a decent amount.
Yeah.
And that's because you come alongside some of these guys and you're encouraging them where they're at and what they're doing, and help them to think beyond just, okay, I'm doing this to succeed so I can buy a bigger home, a better car, but to think, something eternal. God has given me this success, or has given me this wealth. Now, how can I use that to further the kingdom? How can I use that to get the gospel out? And I think that's what some of these guys want. Like, I've had people say to me, I can make money, but what do I do with it?
Yeah.
And so when you can help them with that eternal vision, then they see there's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
There's purpose. I've had guys in our company who have stuck by us, through the hard times, and they said, like, the reason why we're going to hang in here, it's easy for me to walk away. I can see that there's trouble, but we're going to hang in there because we know when this business succeeds, money's being used for the gospel
Yes.
and for missions. And I think that's what people want. They want to be part of an enterprise where there's more than just accumulating money here on earth.
We were having a conversation about that this morning over coffee. And people need a purpose, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned that the businessman says he was intimidated on the church side. Pastors get intimidated from the business side, and I think we need to realize, okay, we've got to have a bigger vision for these
Correct.
people. And so I love everything that both of you just shared with that. You've both been in ministry for a number of years. I mean, you've served as a layman for a long time, even and then in business, and been a very successful businessman. And then come into the church, and you've been able to put those. Let me ask you this before I ask the question: business and church, and you've obviously got this place humming from an administrative standpoint, but it's a very spiritual ministry.
Sure.
And sometimes you don't really get that balance. How do those two things work together?
Well, they can work together. I think initially when I first came into the pastorate, I was more focused on process, more focused on, like, from a business point of view. But then I had to learn that I'm not dealing with employees. I'm dealing with people who are volunteers, and I've got to work on their time frame and when they're good and ready, and when the Holy Spirit has convinced them and they have the conviction. So in enterprise, you're driving for a profit, and we're going to go, and if you don't do your job right, I'm going to have a chat with you. But over here, it's like, I have to encourage you. I have to wait till you're ready. have to wait till you have a conviction. And that was my initial struggle, but the Lord helped me to slow down a little bit, not to get too far ahead of the people and not to drive them really hard. Like you can become very harsh if you're driving people. So I've had to learn to just, ease back a little bit, walk with the sheep, not ahead of the sheep, but also being compassionate to their needs. Sydney is a very busy place, and people work really hard here. And just to keep driving them because you gotta be here, you gotta do this, and that after a while you kind of get discouraged because you're pushing and pushing, and nobody's showing up.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn to say, okay, well, it's a very busy place. People have, both are working. It's an expensive city. They've got their family requirements, and I've just had to learn just to be more compassionate in that way. And I remember reading a quote like a shepherd must smell like his sheep, and that really hit me. Saying, okay, I got to understand our people and what their struggles are, and just help them. Just lead them gently and be amongst, solve whatever the issues they have, and just lead them in the right way.
Would you agree with this? In a lot of ways, it's easier to lead people in business in the secular world. Reasoning is there's an intrinsic motivation. You've got to check,
Correct.
right?
It's
There's there's profit there. It is different to lead a church.
Of course.
I think the biggest difference is in the business world, relationships are disposable.
Yes, that's true.
I can fire somebody and
Yeah.
never see them again.
Yeah.
In church work, relationships are not disposable. We're always called to restoration, even in the most difficult cases. So we
Very
must remain remained, even if that remaining is praying and waiting at the end of the road for someone to come back. We're still remaining vested in people's lives.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. It's very difficult at times, isn't it? How do you guys have pastored successfully for a long time. How have you kept a tender heart, even though there's been some challenging circumstances along the way?
I mean, I at the risk of sounding too simplistic, I think tenderness and heart is not about what's around you. I think it's a matter of a bona fide and genuine relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
What's in you?
And what's in you. And to me, I think when we stay close to the Lord, then He reminds us that we are a piece of work and we are not where we need to be. And our God has tremendous mercy and compassion and patience with us. And when those things are obvious day by day, then it becomes easier to be more forgiving and patient and merciful and gentle. The servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle unto all men, apt to teach, patient, in meekness instructing those that oppose themselves. Too often as a young pastor, I took things personally and competitively.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, that was just carnality.
Yeah. And social media doesn't help with that.
It doesn't. Social media will make you more of what you are. It's an amplifier.
Sure.
If you're a gossip, you'll be a good gossip.
Yeah. If you have insecurities,
But if you're an encourager, you can be a great encourager.
Yeah.
It
It's a great way to put
amplifies.
that. Yeah. That's true. You could take every negative, evil. There's a shadow side to the good, and there's good though if you take it the right way, for sure. What would you add to that? How have you?
Me, I remember. I just always remember that the Lord has forgiven me. He knows my sin. He knows my inner thoughts. He knows my heart. And He was merciful to me. So I always remember the verse, be kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. So in my forefront is like, well, I'm glad nobody knows what my heart is like.
Yeah.
God knows my heart. I'm glad nobody knows what goes through my head, but God does.
Yeah.
And He's still merciful and He's gracious to me.
Yeah.
And if He's being gracious to me, how can I not understand and be forgiving and gracious to others?
We tend to judge others based on their actions and judge ourselves based on our motives. In other words, hey, that family didn't do that. They didn't reach out. They didn't go to they didn't do the thing. But us, I didn't either, but I meant to, and I wanted to, and I didn't have time to.
Yes.
But it's easy for us to, look at people in a harsh. And I think sometimes pastors, I know I certainly can fall into that as well.
I think sometimes we have high expectations of people,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my problem earlier. Is just I live this way. This is my conviction. This is what I would do. Why isn't everybody doing what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to learn to understand that people are at a different level. They're
Yeah.
on a different journey. They have
Yeah.
their own challenges.
Yes.
They have their struggles, and their walk
Mhm.
with God might be different.
Mhm.
And I shouldn't be looking at them, judging them for where they're at. I should be compassionately loving them and
Yeah.
trying to encourage them where
Yeah,
they're at.
yeah. And you have no idea what someone's going
No,
through.
you don't.
You just people walk into church and they've got their church face and they know how to present. You have no idea what these people are battling at home, the burdens they carry, and all of that. So that's really good. Kind of winding down here a little bit. You guys have been faithful for a long time, and that is increasingly rare, and it's sad. We all know people, whether it's pastors or evangelists or just church members, that were in the fight for a long time and they're not anymore. What are some of the quiet habits that you have put into your life to make sure that you're not a casualty at some point? Just some things that you say, well, it might not even be a flashy thing, but this is what I have done to make sure that and by the way, but for the grace of God, any of these things could happen to any of us. But here's what I'm doing my best at to make sure that I finish this race well.
I think accountability is a very important one. I think it's good to have, people in the ministry, or even, in our church, one of my deacons, lead deacons, I'm very close to, and where I'm accountable. And I'm grateful that he can have the conversations with me. If he sees something or wants to encourage me or say, hey, watch out for that, I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm willing for somebody to speak into my life.
Mhm.
And we all have blind spots. I'm not perfect. And I'm grateful that God has allowed someone to be there to help me, and I'm accountable to. So I think accountability is good. I think a good relationship with your wife is important. If you have a good relationship at home, you'll protect that, and I think sometimes for men we're project focused. We spend more time. We're more interested in the project to get that completed and at all costs. I think that's something that I learned many years ago. I think that, when I had that discussion with you, is learning that balance. And I learned that in anything that you do, somebody's paying for it. So you could be, as a pastor, you could be a great pastor and you spend a lot of time in the ministry, but somebody's paying for that. So your home is paying for it, right? And so we look at things maybe one-sided, but we need to have a better global view of where things are at. And it's okay. Sometimes you could put in a lot of hours because it's an important project, it's a problem that you need to solve, but then you need to know to get back out of it and say, okay, now I need to invest my time with my family, or, have a look somewhere else. So somebody's always paying. Just don't make someone pay too much for what you're doing, and keep that in mind. But having a great relationship at home always ties you back to the home, and trying to do what's, to please the Lord.
Yeah, you want those that know you best to respect you most, right?
And really for me, I've always said, you have to be, the man at home must be the same man in the pulpit.
Yeah.
Right? You can't be one thing.
Sure.
You can't be one thing in the pulpit and then be something else in the office, or, at home, or, if you're an angry man at home, but you're, all smiling, gentle in the pulpit, well, that's not right, because your family is sitting there thinking like, just, if you had seen him, what he did this week, if you had known what he's like at home, and how he treats us, you might be in the foyer smiling, shaking hands and saying, oh, it's so good to see you. Yeah. But people, your family will see straight through that.
Yeah. And you'll lose them.
Yeah. And you'll lose them.
You'll lose them. Yeah.
So my thing is that be genuine.
Yes.
What you are at home, be the man in the pulpit.
Yeah.
And if you could be, what you see is what you are, what you get, then that will keep you in true course. So there's no need to pretend. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to pretend at church
Yes.
to show that I'm the pastor, I'm this
Yes.
great Christian,
Yeah.
and then I have to
Yeah.
cover up
Yeah.
on what I'm doing at home.
Yeah, not too high at the church in the sense that I have no problems. So you got to have a transparency, but also not too low at home that I'm not living as a man of
Correct.
God. Right? There's a realness.
Correct.
I've told our guys we have a men's group at the church, and we were talking about this recently. Husbands and wife relationship. It's amazing how we can put on in front of people. I told the guys one morning. I said, "Listen, I don't believe any of you have ever seen me lose my temper. You've never really seen me act out of." But then I go home, and sometimes your family can see the worst of you. If I can control myself in front of you, I can control myself in front of them. It's just a lack of character to continue to do right, even
Sure.
just because I let my hair down at the house. This is the real. No, I want the real me to be somebody that would be under the influence of the Holy Spirit, no matter what I'm doing. So,
And I think it's humbling when you're working with staff, and if you do the wrong thing or you say the wrong thing, to go up and apologize and say, "Look, I'm sorry. I mistreated you, or I shouldn't have said what I said." And that just shows them that you're also human. There is a side to you that you're working on, and you have your own struggles. And I say that to our people, like, don't put me on such a high pedestal that I am such a, I'm the holy man, but I'm just like you. God has just called me to this role, and by the grace of God and the leading of the Holy Spirit, I'm going to do my best to be a good example. But if I do fail, don't be traumatized by that, in that you're going to walk away from God. I'm just human like you. And please exercise grace on me like how I'm exercising grace with you. And I think if we could put that in there, then people will love you, will sacrifice for you, will pray for you, will encourage you. But if you are always putting on this image, this brava image out there that you do nothing wrong, people look at it and say, "Well, that's fake. That's not real." I can't do that. How could you do that?
And if they believe it's true, it's almost discouraging for them. I'm not that. We had a guest speaker years ago at our marriage retreat, and he got up and he said, "My wife and I have never had an argument." And I just thought, well, we had an argument.
I remember that guy who did that.
Is that right?
And I looked at him and said, the moment he said that, I just switched off.
Yeah.
It's it's just like, you have nothing to tell me if you have never had a fight with your wife.
My wife and I had an argument on the elevator on the way down to this room right now. How do I can't even relate. Right. There's got to be a transparency that's there. That's a great answer.
You've got to be real.
Yeah. Kurt, what about you? Quiet habits that have just sustained you throughout the years?
I would agree with everything that Mansour said. So I put a big exclamation point on all of that. And then I would just say, ask yourself the hard questions. If you're listening right now to this podcast, and that is, do you have hiding places in your life? Are there doors that you've locked that nobody can get into? Are there passwords you have not shared?
Yeah.
Is there a reluctance for you to have people pick up your phone and just check it out?
Yeah.
I mean,
that is so powerful.
When I freak out a teenager, just walk down the hallway of our Christian school, and I'll do this periodically, and I'll just grab their phone. I
don't want you to see this.
I can look at anything, can I?
Yeah. So Kurt is he's all there, right? I mean, he's lives in the moment. Last night we're at dinner, and I'm sitting there having a conversation, and all of a sudden somebody's got me in a headlock, and it's I'm thinking, well, I thought one of the teenagers walked in. It's Kurt Skelly. He's got me, and I'm like,
I had you tapped out. I had you tapped out.
And this morning we're at coffee, and Matt Allen's with us, and we're talking AI, and we're having a great conversation. And Kurt says, "Hey," he looked at me and asked me actually first. You said, "Hey, open your Claude," which, long story, I didn't have my Claude app. But anyway, so Matt did. Matt opens it up. He had no idea what you were going to do, so he would have never offered it had you not. So Kurt says, "Okay." Kurt talked to it and said, "Based on what you know of me, what are my insecurities? What am I good at? What am I not good? Tell me about myself." And it was funny. Matt, he's as great a guy as you're going to get. I wasn't worried about anything negative with Matt. But you do that with most people? I don't know. What a scary thing that could be.
What a little picture of the judgment seat of Christ.
Yeah.
Because what
Yeah.
AI does is it
Yeah.
takes every interaction you've ever had with it,
Yes.
all the things you've searched for,
Oh,
and it
wow.
distills it and says, who
Yeah.
is this person?
Yeah.
And what it came out with Matt was, this man is not interested in himself.
Yeah.
He's not interested in his own legacy.
Yeah.
He's interested in people.
It was
He's
so good.
all these things.
It was.
And it
yeah.
became an exercise that was really valuable.
Actually, yeah, very encouraging, very validating.
Yes.
That, yeah, I love that. Kurt, I respect your ministry greatly. I mean, we haven't known each other face to face
Right.
much. And so when you called and it even offered this opportunity, I was all, to be totally honest, if it was anything else, it would have been a no. I mean, because I come back for a day. I'm in Virginia. We just came back. It was a really bad time to be able to come and do this. But I really wanted to get to know you better, and I have not been disappointed. And thank you for your investment in me, even over the last couple of days. I've learned much from watching your ministry over the years, and just your heart and your spirit. And so we've got to have you out one day. Our church would really
coming.
love. Well, that, you know what, we need to. Let me put that plug in, because I'm glad you just said that. February 28th. We're going to the land of the Bible with you.
Yeah.
And you're our tour guide.
But I'm there for your winter something too.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So we'll be able to plug that a little bit.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
had 80 at our interest meeting, by the way, for our
Wow,
Israel
that's
trip. Our very first one we ever had.
Wow.
And so we're real excited about that. I love your passion for it. I think it's going to be amazing.
It's unbelievable.
To be able to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for just your investment, even in me, but our church as well, and for calling and offering this. And Pastor, we had not known each other at all. Matter of fact, they sent me your picture to find you at the airport. And I have to tell you, we had a phone call before I came, maybe a couple of months back.
Yes.
And you have a very steady, unassuming personality, and I have been nothing but impressed by you. Debbie and I feel very close to you and Sharon, and feel like we've become fast friends.
Yeah,
and I would probably think that anyone that meets you feels that way. So don't tell me that we're not good friends, because we feel like we are.
Yes,
so
we
don't
are.
change that, okay? But I just want you to know how much we appreciate the investment you've put into us this week as well. I don't know if churches realize this, Kurt. You travel so much over the years. You just, of course, you're just in transition right now. I don't know if a church realizes how much their pastor can get be invested in out of certain ministries. And this has been one of those ministries that I'll go home and I'll be a better pastor after having rubbed shoulders with you this week. And so I really appreciate both of you in the ministry, the faithfulness, the love that you've showed us this week. Thank you. It's going to be, I think, TNS True North Summit.
Yes.
We've been here 5 days. It starts tonight.
Yep.
I'm pretty excited about. You've been doing this for 10 years, Kurt. What do we expect?
Expect for God to meet with us.
Yeah,
Amen.
yeah. Very excited about it.
Yes.
Pastor, anything you want to share with us at the end?
Well, we're thankful that you got to come out, and we got to meet you, and you've been a great encouragement to us already. And we love you and your wife. I guess we have bonded in the last 5 days, as if we've known each other for a long time.
A long time, yeah.
So we're thankful for that, and we just ask the Lord to do something great for us this weekend. Really to encourage our young people, our young adults, and just another generation, really.
Yeah.
We have a heart to see another generation rise up and serve in Australia. We're in desperate need over here.
Yeah, that's right.
And but we're thankful that we could do that small part.
Yeah, boy, we have it too in the U.S.
And I will say this: if you are a young adult listening to this, you're in your 20s, early 30s, come to this conference.
Yeah.
It's always the second week in July.
Yeah.
It is an amazing opportunity, and it's open to anybody worldwide.
Yeah. It's going to be some great preaching. You'll be preaching. Peter Mord's here. He does some great sessions. Danielle with the ladies as well.
Yeah.
Not just that, but Sydney's amazing. If you're traveling, if you're not around here, you travel.
You can find Nemo. I mean, all the things.
Yeah. We did. It was amazing. So thank you both for taking a few minutes and being on this today. And Castle View and podcast listeners, thank you for joining in. Some rich stuff today. And this is one of those episodes. I know we've got some pastors that listen. I know I was in on the conversation. I'm going to go back through and listen to this. This is one of those that you probably want to listen to more than once. And listen, if you're ever looking for good counsel or preaching, these two men are just two of the absolute best. Hey, thank you for watching today. We look forward to seeing you again next week.